Welcome to the Channel Surfers. I'm John McCabe, co-host, and I'm joined as always by my very good friend and co-host, Jeff Lennon. How you doing, Jeff?
Fantastic, man. 26, it's coming in hot. It's coming in hot, man.
It is. We are so lucky today to have our first repeat guest, someone we talk about a lot. Andreas Geamanu is the CEO and founder. Geamanu is the CEO and founder of Introw. I'm sorry if I butchered that. Of Introw, which, in my opinion, is one of the most important partner relationship management tools that is out there now. I'm an active user, so I'm a believer, and I know how important it is. But Andreas, we wanted to welcome you back and thank you for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me again. And it's clearly that your outfit does not matter with the season. If it's winter, summer, the outfits are still the same, and the background as well. So that's cool.
It's a tropical vibe, you know.
It's definitely a tropical vibe. I was just joking with John yesterday. I mean, it's like 12, 15 degrees where I'm at right now. So,
yes. But are the caps new or did they?
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are.
So this is what I'm saying. We're coming in hot, man. We're things are happening. Well, real quick. So John, John's kind of crushing on your PRM. I'm not gonna lie, he loves it.
Not at all. Number one fanboy.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of interesting things that are happening with your organization. So, what I was hoping we could do is, being that you're our first kind of repeat guest, just kind of recapping, right? We had you on, I wanted to double check. You were on episode 24 where we talked about AI and PRMs, right? And the convergence of why that matters. So what I was hoping, well, for me, but only because I'm not as familiar with the solution, and I don't think a lot of our listeners may be either, but I wanted to really use it as an opportunity to kind of move beyond the why and go to the how. Like, talk about the deployments, the playbooks, the metrics, and what are some of the new things that are happening with you guys? Because if correct me if I'm wrong, right? Introw it's a CRM-first solution that supports Salesforce and HubSpot to help better manage the deals, give visibility, right? So you're not going through, trying to figure those things out. It's all happening in real time. And you guys are doing some really, really cool stuff with AI. John, shares that with me. So I just thought I thought the time, right? I keep saying but it's a we, to kind of walk through that and then talk also about some of the off-portal engagement stuff that you guys are able to do to boost adoption. So then I'm going to hand the ball back to you now so you can kind of run with it.
Yeah. No, 100%. Keep up to date on what's going on with Introw. You've got some exciting news lately too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, I think first of all, what you're saying is right. Introw is a CRM-first PRM, and what you've seen over the last course of 20 years is that the adoption of CRM has increased tremendously, right? If you think about it, 20 years ago, HubSpot was still a marketing tool, for example. It was not a full-blown CRM. There was Salesforce, but they were still early. A lot was still happening through Sheets. But if you think about channel is as old as it gets, right? Selling to something to someone who sells it to someone else. This is as old as it gets. So if you think about it, in the past, it's quite logical that a PRM that existed in the past was not so deeply integrated with the CRM because there was not such a high CRM adoption. We're in a new era where companies see their CRM as single source of truth, and they want to keep that as well, and they don't want to start duplicating data sources into the PRM. So that's one thing. So Introw allows you to actually launch a partner portal in literally minutes. You connect your CRM. We have an AI that actually allows you to create a partner portal with an AI agent for your partners, an internal agent for yourself, and you can literally launch the portal in less than a week, right? So even for enterprise customers, we can go live in that period of time. And I think that's also a second thing where there's just a difference in trend where people have a bigger opportunity cost. They don't want to wait for months to go live. They want to go live instantly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and one thing I've noticed, I consider myself a power user because I'm working in it every day. But one thing that's just made my day is that enablement feature you added.
Bingo.
I'll go back 6 years. I was at the first Partnership Leaders Catalyst event in Miami, and a friend of mine who worked at an alliance partner company, and we shared leads and we worked together. we were sitting outside waiting for a Uber to go to dinner, and there's a guy sitting across the bench from us, and we're talking about PRM, and he was trying to figure out a PRM solution, and I already had put in I forget the name of the PRM, but I was like, I like it, but I said I really need that enablement piece. And our audience has probably heard this story before, but I really need the enablement piece. And the guy across the bench from us, he goes, "Why is that important to you?" And I said, "Because I want my partners living and breathing in my partner portal. I want them to come there. It's lifeblood to them. Content, deal registration, enablement. I want them to be able to go in and do the enablement right there." And he's like, And he ended up being the CEO and founder of a PRM solution. And I can't remember the name of it. He's like, we've been toying with that idea. And I'm like, listen, you need to add it. It's important. I said, you're talking to two leaders of channel that want that. And he's like, okay. So now that you have that in place and how simple it is, Jeff, basically you go into the enablement feature, and depending on your license and how you're licensed, you can create multiple training tracks. And what it does is it absorbs all the content you have loaded in Introw for your partners and your website and all the information you could possibly draw. You click a button to create a class or an enablement session. And right before your eyes, it builds out the program, builds out the content, the enablement content. It builds out a quiz, and it builds out a certification at the same time. And then within minutes, you have this training track that you could send your partners and have them go through it, right? It blew my mind. And it's probably the most important feature you guys could have added, in my opinion, because if my partners don't know how to sell me or don't know anything about how to sell me or my product, they're not going to sell me. It's just that simple. They're just going to, So talk to us about the enablement. Talk to us about how that came about, because it is brilliant.
I'm going to take that cut right there, John, at 6 minutes. I'm going to take that cut at 6 minutes, and we're going to do the commercial for Introw, because all I need right now, Andreas, is a little kind of quick video to go with it. But like I said, John is a big fan. But sorry, go back to the enablement piece, because I do believe that the first 30 to 60 days, 45 days in that window is critical when you have a new partner, because you've got momentum. You've got momentum, and I think that's key. So kind of talk through that if you could a little bit.
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, the AI powered LMS, it's a learning management system, how we call it. It's pretty crazy in a sense that you can literally say create a training course for those types of partners, and it will just literally create an end-to-end course with multiple choice questions, open questions, and so on, with an AI certificate as well with that. I think one of the core ideas or goals here was that it's quite difficult to actually build a full enablement course. If you're working in channel, you have 100 priorities, and to really build a course end to end, it would take too much time. So that's where we leveraged AI. Every content that was already in the portal can be surfaced. But now if you look at our larger customers, they connect their MCP, so their own agents, to our agents, allowing them to actually build courses based on other content that they would have as well. A Confluence, a Notion, whatever documents they would have are connected in real time now. And that's really magic. And that's the piece of the creation.
Wow.
I think the cool piece is also in how you actually train the partners, in a sense that the Introw AI agent, every time a partner fills in an answer, it will actually show them why it is right or why it is wrong. Whereas in other, in the older way, you would just have, it's not right. Introw AI will also explain to the partners, like, this is the reason why your question or your answer, is not right. We even have open questions where you could ask, for example, what is this tool doing? And if you answer that, it will actually say it's close to right, it's very right, and so on. So you're taking away a lot of the heavy lifting, and then it's still very CRM integrated, where we actually show our customers in the CRM, in Salesforce, in HubSpot, whether a person has done a course, whether they are certified, yes or no. So you can still have your RevOps team making full dashboards on the adoption of courses and certificates.
And for any of our audience who are, in positions where they are trying to make a decision on a PRM solution, can't emphasize enough how what Andreas has added into Introw, this enablement piece, and the way it creates it customized for you, saves you time, saves you money. You don't have to somebody come in and build out your LMS, and that's very
Yeah.
expensive, and connect to it. It's all there. It's all there. This is probably one of the most important elements of a PRM I think you could have when you're trying to build out your channel program and get to that point of certification with your partners. It's very easy. And Andreas, just maybe help us understand what drove the decision for that, because I think that's like so forward thinking. I don't know if every PRM is doing that or doing it the way you're doing it, but like what drove that decision for them?
I think it ties very deep with our core DNA, which is speed and time to value. In a sense that
Ooh, I was going to say TTV. I was thinking about that when John I just wrote it down when John was talking. I'm like, it's time. No, right? I mean, sorry, I
no,
didn't mean to cut you off, man. I didn't mean to cut you, but that's the whole point. It's time to value. But sorry, go ahead. I'm like,
and
this
also
is intriguing because I'm the guy on the sidelines watching you two like go back and
yeah,
forth.
no, but think about this. In the past, as a partnership team, you would actually need to raise a support ticket to the enablement team. Like, we want to make a partner-specific course. It cannot be so deep as our internal course because, it's their partners. You don't want to overload them with information from a first phase and so on. And obviously, as a channel team, you're not the first priority. I think we know that you're not always the first priority for the enablement team, marketing team, and so on.
Yeah.
But for you as a partnership lead to actually build that yourself, at least in an 80%, and then ask enablement team to maybe switch some designs or to make it really 100%, is also for the enablement team a much easier way to collaborate, because you've done the heavy lifting, you've built what you want, how you want it, and in that way you can go live a lot quicker. You can receive feedback from your partners a lot quicker, and you can still iterate, right? It's not a static course. If you feel that a question is unclear or if it's answered incorrectly, you can still go in our dashboarding and reports to see how can we change that. But I think that's a real core component.
You know what's crazy? Sorry, John, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say what's crazy is you made a comment, and it's, God forbid you educate your partner to sell as good as anybody technically internal could sell, which is really kind of the goal. You need the external partners that are selling your product to be just as informed and as educated, so that they are imparting the value and the message to the client. Like, here's the problem we solve. Here's how we solve it. The fact that there was always this kind of inhibiting motion that was happening, it was almost counterintuitive,
Well, maybe a question for you guys. You've been in the channel and partnership so long, but what would you say that is typically the most important courses for partners? Is it like value proposition, product? Like where do you see the biggest impact on revenue and type of enablement material?
There are two. There's the how to sell XYZ company. And just to give them an overview, talk track, value prop, where we sit in the competitive space. And then there's the second one, the technical sales, and having your technical partner sales engineers understand the technology. That's a little bit deeper. It's more involved, but that's okay, because those sales engineers like that kind of training. Those are the only two I see. I typically try to have two sales engineering certifications per partner, and it renews every year. You have to go back and do the certification over. Those are the most important ones, I feel.
Absolutely. I was going to same thing. So, and think of it like a tree, right? So to John's point, they're the two avenues. You've got to get the sales education, and you got to get the technical. Here's the nuance, in my opinion. The nuance is you're trying to get the partner reps, the salespeople, to go talk about the product and talk and sell it. And then you've got to get the technical people. But what people forget is the sales rep is always looking to their technical person for validation. Okay. So getting to that second piece is actually more important, because making sure the technical people, and by the way, they're not just technical, they understand the business process. They're bought into the message and to the value props and the cost benefit analysis and all those things that the reps are selling. But if they get it and they can articulate the message as well, then the rep is going to be more confident to go get in front of clients to talk about it. So it's kind of a catch-22. You've got to do both, but I really think that the meat is, making sure that you're educating the technical people and keeping it simple. And to John's point, keeping it top of mind, right? Because we talked about that time to value, right? So taking those two things, it's about the partner activation, time to value, time to first dollar, right? There's doing, right? So instead of TTV, we'll call it TTFD. But thinking about that, right? Getting them to understand how it's sold, where the value is, that's where I've seen partnerships take off, right? And the problem is there's that old analogy about bamboo, right? Bamboo grows, the root network grows under the surface for, I think it's for 6-7 years. And then once it comes above ground, it's crazy. It grows fast every year after that. That's kind of what getting a partner up and running is, but in a more condensed time frame. If you can get that enablement, and that way you've got them comfortable, you've got them in front of information, and some of the things that you just talked about, I think are kind of really changing the game as far as the enablement education piece.
Well, one thing I might suggest you add, Andreas, is kind of a renewal clock. Like if they take the certification on, January 15th, 2026, by the next January 14th, they should have a reminder, hey, your certification is expiring, or your internal people should say, hey, this certification is expiring. They need to go retest, because it's very important that you keep them, understanding the technology and having it, vivid.
Absolutely.
And I think this next generation way of training and educating partners, it's really underestimated in a sense that people spend so much time in attracting partners, signing new partners, and so on. But if they are signed, if you have attracted them, this is the most difficult part to make sure that they want to sell you. Then you really need to spend on also making sure that they know what to sell and how to sell. And like by just doing one webinar and seeing who does it and rewatches it, you don't know who knows about you, right? And we see larger customers of ours going even deeper with their strategic partners, where they map the full organization diagram and really have a Kanban view to know which people have we already talked with at our partner sites, how many times we talk with them, who are our champions at the partner sites. A lot of analogy that you have in a sales context with, for example, a MEDIC framework, where you see, okay, what are the metrics, who's a decision taker, who's our champion, and so on. I see more and more dribbling into the partner orgs as well, where you're thinking in a partnership mindset, like, okay, who's our champion, who's our decision taker, what are the economic criteria to actually decide that they want to partner with us. So there's a lot of more objective metrics that come into place, and I think that helps to defend the case.
Yeah, it's critical, in my opinion. So let's change subject for just a little bit. Introw has gone through some pretty big changes since we last spoke to you. Talk to us about some of those changes and what has been happening at Introw, not just from a feature standpoint, but like from a company standpoint.
Yeah. So we moved offices.
Very nice. You're growing. That's good.
Yeah, no, we've grown the team 4x, revenue 5x, amount of customers 5x. So that's all very good, and for us very nice with a team where a lot of people live in the neighbor in here. So the culture is really this office vibe with a lot of people in here. And then we raised $3 million in funding from Visionaries Club, which is a first tier investment firm from Berlin and London.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's 100% a team effort. But it just shows that what we're doing and how we're doing it it's a confirmation of what we're doing.
By the way, the video you guys put out about the when you got the investment, chef's kiss again. That was Jeff and I watched it and laughed. The guy in the pool cracks me up. That was
he's here.
And then when you were like being asked about doing something like how much does that cost? It's like that video was awesome. That's the way you got to do it.
Yeah. And I like laughing. I like to laugh. John.
It was equally fun to create it, and I think that's a funny part with AI is that I got a lot of messages of people asking like, oh, is this AI generated? And there was obviously zero AI in it, but I understand the fact that people start to question question that, and that's also always the balance between what do you still want to have as real, as pure as a company, and what is
Right.
possible to actually use AI for. But then you still see these types of videos. AI is not ready to recreate that culture and that vibe, and that's just
Right.
something that is very difficult. And for me, the fact that we raised from Visionaries Club and just did that funding round just shows how important partnerships are becoming. So I think there's definitely a second wave of importance around
Yeah.
partnerships, and I think that's really cool to see as well. And the reason why is because today there's really a situation where for companies outbound is becoming more and more difficult. Reply rates are going down on cold outbound, and this was something, if you compare to 10 years ago, it was quite doable to actually set up
Yep.
email and calling campaigns, and you would have quite good conversions, reply rates, and so on. Then there was the wave of automations 6-7 years ago with a lot of tools like Outreach and Apollo and so on, where you could build these automatic outbounds. And now we have AI SDRs, who actually tools that we all know, who
We're
actually
familiar.
build those automatic campaigns. But it just shows that you need to start thinking out of the box. And if you want to really grow, we're really bullish on that. You will need to invest in partnerships. It is
Yeah.
really the decade of partnerships now.
And I tell this to my European and rest of world friends when I'm talking about channel. You guys do it a lot better over there. Channel is so important. It's a major part of how you sell. Whereas here in the US, we have to go out and find the partners and get them
Mhm.
motivated and do things and give them deals. And that's how you get things rocking. But in
Right.
Europe, like distribution is so important. And distribution can create so much opportunity. And I love the fact that you told us before we started recording how distribution partners are
Ooh.
utilizing Introw to
I want to.
manage resellers and manage their service partners. And they usually have hundreds, if not thousands, of partners they're working with. So the way you guys do it is better. And I'm not surprised one bit that you're growing, your revenues are growing, your customer base is growing, you're getting the investment. I think there's more really, really big things to come for you. But I think over where you are in the European markets, it's just so much more important there for partnerships.
Yeah, I was going to
Yeah.
say, but before you answer that, well, sorry, go ahead and answer that because I just want to go back to the distribution. But go ahead. Sorry.
No, just a real quick note on that partnerships thing. We really see a difference. I think we talked about that as well already. Is that we feel that there's a lot more partnership knowledge adoption
Yeah.
in the US, more education. I think it's just a much more competitive space in the US. You're
It
fighting
is.
for the same headspace, the same partners, the same distributors. So you really need to convince them, build your business case, make sure you're the best product or the best team. You in one way you need to be 10x in one way, right? And that's for everything. You need to have something that you're very good at, so the partners want to sell you. And I think that level of competition might be a little bit lower in Europe.
Well, I think it's also the go to market, right? You have different geographies, like selling in, the UK IE is this, and then you've got the UAE, and then you've got your Eastern Bloc. Like it's all political boundaries, right? At
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day,
Yep.
and so you're going to have distributors that are going to help you sell there. Plus, it's a lot easier. It removes some of the hurdles, right? And I've always been a big believer in distribution. In fact, our podcast that we just put out, we actually had the distribution leader for Google on, and she does distribution and she also manages their Mandiant because she came with that acquisition. But
Yep.
that's evolving, right? And it is, and to hear you bring that up in the beginning, I made a note. I wanted to come back to the distribution thing because to me, that's another use case for what the PRM can do. So it's not just, it's almost like you're gonna have to change your acronym because it's not just about, partner relationship management. You're involving distribution, which is about managing partners. But I found that really interesting. So if you can kind of just talk through that for a second, because I just think it's about connecting the dots for people
Yeah.
and understanding that distribution ecosystem is going to help you kind of create that flywheel and actually do things a lot quicker. And if you can do the enablement and get to that time to first dollar quicker, that's when you'll see people coming back to the trough. They're like, hey, I want more. I
Yeah.
want to do more. So if you can kind of walk through that little use case, I thought that was interesting.
Well, I think for distributors, their goal is obviously to sell more, right? They're
Yeah.
doing that through their resellers who are really selling it day to day. So they also realize that today they also need to win headspace from these resellers, because these resellers are partnering with multiple distributors. So these resellers can be literally in the same deal with different distributors with different
Mm.
profit margins and whatsoever. So if you as a distributor, if you can actually have a way better way of transparency, deal collaboration, co-selling, enablement, end to end, you can win that deal in that way. So that's just a change as well, where they are now investing more in that tooling, in that automation, just to make sure that they're winning these deals.
Yeah.
Wow. No, that's awesome. So coming back to the application and the values that you guys are driving, right? Because I really think that you mentioned something about your AI agent program. I'm seeing a lot of that. You mentioned Notion, you mentioned MCP. As
Mm.
people begin to get educated, they start understanding these are ways to do that. How do you guys wrap? It's something that's near and dear to me, which is that security piece, right? Making sure that
Mm.
you have protocols locked down. And
Yes.
I tell everybody
Mm.
with AI, it's Jesus, I just forgot the three. But it's permissions, data, and people, right? So understanding, because some people are our weakest link in everything. I hate to say it,
Yeah, yeah.
as humans. But how are
Well,
you guys dealing with that?
yeah, it's a very good question. And first of all, to take this from another standpoint, is this is actually a new category that is created. Building secure agent. We have a
Mhm.
customer. They're called Zadity. They are actually securing AI agents. So that's a market that was not there. So think about it, how crazy that is.
Yep.
They're building a full business on a wave that is happening, and they're very successful at that. Um, Keeping AI secure is really about making sure that AI has access to the right platforms in the same way that you would do it without AI. And I think that's really put very simple. If you have a table where you can search for a contact, and if that person does not have access to that contact, they will not find it in the table. And that's actually the same with AI. You actually need to make sure that what you connect to the AI does not have access to these different fields. And I think that's
Mm.
definitely a challenge with these agents like an N8N or other types of MCPs and agents. You connect, for example, your Notion or your Confluence, but if you do that, you really need to make sure that you know what you're connecting to,
Yep.
right? So this is
Absolutely.
really a user. It's really the responsibility of a user. Now, the challenge with AI in terms of security is obviously it's very quick done, right? You connect that Confluence, you clicked the wrong button of a document that can be read through the AI agent. You didn't really see that, and now all of a sudden, your customers asking questions on the website can also surface an internal document. So
Mhm.
Yep.
that's just the big difference with like the fact that you're connecting to so many tools. It's obviously to increase convenience. On the other hand, yeah, you just want to make sure that it's secure and that there's the same ways of user management, access management, and so on in there. And I'm not really afraid about security there. I think definitely for us, security is our number one priority from
Mhm.
our tool perspective. But if we're realistic, we will see in the market, we will see things happening about, for example, an agent that displayed more data than expected and so on. And that's also how innovation works, right? It's always in the gray zone of a little bit of risk. And if you have that little bit of risk, you can move forward. If you don't take that risk of
Yep.
innovation, you will not move forward. So I think that's at
100%.
any point of innovation. Think about internet 25 years ago. Yeah, there were probably so many data breaches that if we think about it today, we would think like, was that really possible? Could you really see this of that from your users or whatsoever? So I think every new wave creates new risks.
Absolutely. No, and
Yeah.
and I appreciate that. It's a good answer. And like I said, it's something that, the security aspect is kind of near and dear to me. And the more I start to dissect it, you just hit the main points. And I'm not surprised there's a whole
Mm-mm.
industry coming out of it
No.
because it is, well, look, go back to, and we don't have to go off on a tangent, but the whole API with Salesforce back in August, that was through, that basically was through an API with a chat and or an agent. And to your point, I think it may be happening more than people realize at a low level. But
Yeah.
the challenge is it could expand pretty quickly. But I love the answer, because I think having that mindset going in, just kind of reassuring people that, yeah, you have this, but we already have some guardrails in place to help kind of protect that and make sure that we're doing it in a very, specific and judicious way. So,
and I think it proves, again, as a company and a product, Introw is just so far out ahead, thinking about what's best for their clients and making the whole experience so easy and seamless, right? Again, I'll pitch and plug you guys all day long because I believe in you. But if you're out there and you're looking for a solution, I'm telling you, this is the way you need to go. And if anyone wants to,
hashtag not sponsored.
No. Hashtag not sponsored yet, Andreas. If anyone wants more information, please reach out to me at john@channelsurfers.com. Be happy to just promote it and tee you up to the team in Introw, or Jeff@channelsurfers.com. But we are really big fans. And Andreas, we're almost up against the time slot here. Why don't you help our listeners know what's coming in the future, or talk about what Introw's about to come out with?
Yeah, so I think something huge is the fact that we just launched our end-to-end performance tracking module, and I think for starting your year well, this is really crucial. Like setting goals with partners will result in more revenue, and I think that's also for your internal team. If you don't set a goal, you will not reach that goal. So having that all automated in the platform, I'm really bullish about that, because now we allow the partnership managers to track on a partner level, on a partner group level, how far partners are actually reaching a certain target. It can be ARR target, can be amount of leads, can be amount of deals, it can be anything, and it connects automatically to all your data sources. So I think that's something we'll be pushing up a lot in the next coming months.
Interesting. Again, forward thinking. I love it.
So let me put you on a quick hot seat, because I know John said we're coming up against time, which is always a problem for us, time management on this podcast. But if you had 5 minutes with a CRO, what would be the message and the dashboard that you would point to drive the most value for Introw?
Yeah, the first question would be, how much partner sourced or influenced revenue do you have today? Right. If that CRO cannot answer the question, probably they should be out. So that's already a first thing, because they need to know their channels.
Sure.
But if it's at least 5%, you can go deeper in questions like, why is it 5%? How many people are in that team? What were the deal cycles of those deals with partners? And if you go deeper into the mechanics, a lot of times the CRO will actually in that conversation realize, like, wow, actually that's a good channel. I haven't really narrowed down or bucketed that challenge or the performance of that challenge. So I would definitely go on sales cycles, on amount of revenue, amount of deals versus the spend that you did on that, right? If you only have one partnership manager, but you have 5% of, let's say, for example, a 100 million ARR company coming through that channel, then you're clearly not spending enough on that channel. So I think it's a lot about the mechanics of your total business and what is coming from that. If you're a 10 million ARR company or 100 million ARR company and you have 0 partners sourced or influenced revenue, that's a total different conversation, because then you really start to navigate, like, okay, who's your ecosystem? What type of partners are selling complementary solutions? What type of channel partners could you have? But typically, organically, you will always have some sort of partners. You will see in every organization, they will have some sort of partners.
And then that CRO needs to contact the partner architects group to help them build out a channel program.
Exactly. And that's true. Like the strategy comes before technology, right? If you don't have some sort of strategy or some sort of things that you want to double down on, you don't need to invest in a full technology and so on. It's better to first make sure, what do we want to focus on? Why do we want to do that? And only after that, implement the platform.
Yeah, that was a good answer. And the reason So I'll say this: if somebody, and I'll probably get knocked in the head for this, but if somebody says we don't have any partner driven business, I think it's not that they don't have it. It's that they're probably not tracking it. They're not being
True.
honest about how they're getting deals.
True.
I mean, I've worked with organizations and been in organizations where deals were, where there was things happening with a partner. It's changed dramatically because it's just way too easy to share things right now.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
companies could get away with taking deals. John knows that. Where the company would just rip it out of the hands and like, we have to get this done now, kind of thing. And I mean, I was back in the dark ages of 2009, 2008. So,
Yeah.
but no, I think that was a good answer, and I do think it is about where they are, and I think that's kind of the values. If you can't answer those questions that you just posed, or you don't have the facts to answer those questions, then
Yeah.
you do need to figure out how you go get that data. And again, I just think it's a pretty simple ask. But anyway,
Yeah.
Any last, John? I'll throw it to you because you always ask me. Last parting thoughts, questions, perspective.
I think as we, something Andreas said earlier when he was talking about the CRO and like cold email campaigns are really hard and very difficult in this day and age with, LinkedIn changing the rules and Google monitoring the output. Building a channel program is a much, much more effective way to get to more important leads. Having a tool like Introw helps you to really tie up all of the loose ends that might happen during a partner relationship build. And it gives you a place to live and breathe and do everything you need to do to be successful. So I really feel like partnerships are going to be a much bigger play in the next few years than they ever have been before, because you can't figure out that cold the cold email outreach programs. It changes daily, right? But if you're working with partners and you're educating the right way and you're doing the things you have to do to keep your mind share in front of them, it's going to be a much more beneficial program, and your sales CROs will be happy and deals will be closing. But let's keep in mind one thing. It's not a 12-month window. It's like an 18 to 24-month window to build a successful program. And these CROs have to understand that because their jobs are on the line as well. They got to understand how to build it out and map with the company strategy. And I think that's important. But Andreas, this has been amazing. I can't tell you how much I admire and I'm so impressed with what you're doing there. And like I said, big fanboy. I'm available to do demos for you if you need a customer reference or something. I will get that sale done for you. But and until the next time, I mean, please keep us up to date on what's going on with Introw. And we're thrilled that you're our first repeat guest on the show because it really enhanced the first show. You've come leaps and bounds from that point, and you're just going in the right direction.
Yeah,
100%.
awesome.
And thanks a lot for having me on repeat. I hope we can do a triple as well at some point. And
it's already in the
works. Grab some other people from your team, man. We got to get more perspectives, right?
Yeah. Well, I think the next time it's time to get Simon on. He's our co-founder and head of AI. It can be really interesting having him.
You had me at AI.
I think that would be totally awesome, man. Well, look, I'll leave you with this. The time to value TTV, but my new acronym is now TTFD, time to first dollar. And to John's point, not having had the opportunity to use it, I see this. John's not wrong. It's 18 to 24 months to build a program. But the faster that you can get things implemented and get partners engaged and driving that whole enablement process, then I know John, that's why I think John is a big fan, because it allows for quick enablement and the tracking and the repeatability model, right? Do it, repeat it, keep it going. Got to feed that machine. So I really think that's your kind of your secret sauce if you guys keep going down the path you're going, just from my perspective on the sideline. So anyway, but thank you again, man. Really, really appreciate it, you jumping on with us again.
Yeah.
Great.
So if anyone's interested in checking out Introw, it's Introw, Introw.io. Again, reach out to me if you have questions. I could fill you in and then tie you into the team. But Andreas, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for joining. For our audience, we appreciate you joining and listening to this. This is an important one. If you want to reach out to us, we have our website, channelsurfers.com. There's a contact us page there. You can reach out and send us a note or ask to be a guest. We'd love to have you on.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, we have our LinkedIn page, and you could find us on all of the streaming services for the podcast, and we have a YouTube channel. So you know where to reach us. But until the next time, Jeff, thanks for doing this. And Andreas, much success in the future. We are rooting for you.
Absolutely.
Bye-bye.
All right. Cheers.
Thanks, man. Cheers.